テストテスト。香港会場をマイクオンにします。
Thank you so much for attending. Sorry for letting you waiting for so long. The material will be, I think, prepared very soon. So thank you for your patience. Thank you so much.
Test, test.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the media briefing on the monitoring results after discharge of adulterated water. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Takashi Hibiki, Chair Professor of the Department of Mechanical Engineering of City University Hong Kong, and I'm your MC today. On August 24th, Japan began discharging adulterated water at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. 2 discharges have already been made, and the 3rd ocean discharge is scheduled to begin on November 2nd. In today's media briefing, representatives of the government of Japan will explain on the current situation of adulterated water and the monitoring results after the discharge. Everyone should have a set of presentation materials on hand. Please let us know if you do not. Today, we have Ambassador Okada Kenichi, Consul-General of Japan in Hong Kong, and Mr. Takabatake Masaaki, a Special Supervisor for the Commissioning and the Water Treatment, Fukushima Reconstruction Promotion Group at the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, METI, with us. We also have 4 speakers joining us online, including Ms. Kawamura Hana, Chief of Radiation Monitoring Division, Radiation Protection Department, Nuclear Regulation Authority, Mr. Hasegawa Hiroyasu, Director of Research and Technological Guidance Division, Resource Enhancement Promotion Department, Fishery Agency, Mr. Sato Gaku, Deputy General Manager of Project Management Office, Fukushima Daiichi D&D Engineering Company, TEPCO Holdings, and Professor Gary Thomas, former Professor of Molecular Pathology, Imperial College London. The media briefing will last for around 2 hours. Firstly, Mr. Takabatake Masaaki and Mr. Sato Gaku will explain in the monitoring and the management of the discharge of the adulterated water. Secondly, Ms. Kawamura Hana and Mr. Hasegawa Hiroyasu will elaborate on the analysis of the ocean, seawater, and aquatic products after the adulterated water is discharged. After that, Professor Gary Thomas will provide her views on the likely health effects from the discharge of the water, and I will also share my views on this matter. Lastly, we will move on to the Q&A session. We will first answer the questions submitted in advance, and then the questions from the floor. English interpretation is provided during this session. Please refrain from including the interpreter's voice directly in your coverage. We ask for your kind cooperation and understanding on this. Now, let us welcome Ambassador Okada Kenichi, Consul-General of Japan, to deliver an opening remarks.
Dear media friends from Hong Kong press and Japanese press and third country press, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to attend today's briefing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. As you may know, the Japanese government in year 2021 announced the basic policy on the handling of the ALPS treated water. And since then, we have offered the 3 times of opportunity for media friends in Hong Kong to explain what we are doing. And today's opportunity is the 4th opportunity. So once again, thank you so much for attending today's briefing. And please allow me to sit and continue the briefing for you. First of all, for the food product issues, while we have provided so many times information and explanation about the safety of Japanese food products, calling for the early removal of existing restrictions on Japanese food products by Hong Kong governments. We have also provided in detailed explanation about the Japanese government efforts to achieve the safe discharge of treated water. And moreover, in order to exclude any complacency, Japanese government has invited the IAEA, which has the authority to set up and apply the safety international standard. So, as you know, in July this year, in its comprehensive report, the IAEA concluded that the discharge of ALPS treated water is consistent with relevant international safety standards, and the impact on human body and the environment is negligible. This is a conclusion by IAEA, and we have explained this to Hong Kong friends, Hong Kong people, as well as Hong Kong government. But as you know well, very unfortunately, the Hong Kong government has banned the imports of Japanese food products, aquatic products from 10 prefectures of Japan since August. It's extremely regrettable. As you know, all around the world, there are about 200 countries. And now, China, Hong Kong, Macau, and only a few more countries like Russia and North Korea criticize that the ALPS treated water is dangerous. But I think we should note that in the same period, this summer, when we discharged the water, 31 countries, including 27 EU countries, has removed their existing imports ban on Japanese food products. This is a very important development. And furthermore, as you may noted, October 28th and 29th, which means last week, the G7 trade ministers meeting was held, and in that meeting, the Japanese government reiterated the need for the calm response with regards to the discharge of ALPS treated waters. And other countries understand and supported the Japanese government standpoint. And as you know, the G7 trade minister's statement reaffirmed the importance of the import restrictions being science-based and only applied in accordance with WTO and other international rules. It also called for the immediate repeal of any such import restrictions that is unnecessary restricting the trade, including the newly introduced import ban on Japanese food products. Ladies and gentlemen, last week in the Victoria Park, last weekend in Victoria Park, 28th, 29th, there was a festival called Let's Dance for Autumn Festival. This event was organized by Hong Kong Japanese Association, and more than 10,000 Hong Kong people participated. So I was very much pleased to see so many Hong Kong people enjoying Japanese culture as well as Japanese food. That was a fantastic atmosphere. And I was really happy to see so many long lines, long queues in front of Japanese food booths on that day. So that's a really encouraging development. But at the same time, we have learned that some portion of Hong Kong people are still worried about the safety of the Japanese food products as a result of the discharge of the ALPS treated water into the sea. So we have decided today to take this opportunity to offer you the highly transparent scientifically based and most accurate information on the latest development on the ALPS treated water. In particular, the monitoring regime and figures and data after the discharge and the involvement of the IAEA. And today, we have Mr. Takabatake Masaki, who is the special supervisor of the decommissioning and water treatment of Fukushima Reconstruction Promotion Group of the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry from Japan. Actually, he has just arrived in Hong Kong airport and he came directly from the Hong Kong airport to the consulate. So welcome, Mr. Takabatake. And of course, at the same time, we also have lots of senior officials from various agencies and ministries of Japanese government, including Deputy Director General, Mr. Michino of Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery. And moreover, we have two more professors today. Professor Jerry Thomas, the Imperial College of London, and Professor Hibiki Takashi, who is sitting next to me, chair professor at the City University of Hong Kong. They will make a comment on Japanese government's efforts. Now, before we go into the detailed explanation by experts, I would first like to give you an overview of the monitoring regime. For the monitoring regime, the Japanese government has set up multi-layered system with the involvement of IAEA. For monitoring, the Japanese government, Fukushima Prefecture, and the Tokyo Electric Power Company, TEPCO, conduct the monitoring. Then, the IAEA, in cooperation with third country analytical institutions, objectively confirmed the analytical capability of Japanese government and the TEPCO, as well as the reliability of data and figures. I will be more specific about this monitoring. As you know, there are three stages, which is before the dilution, and after the dilution, but before the discharge, and finally, after the discharge. So let me talk one by one. First, for the monitoring of ALPS treated water in the tank prior to the discharge, already 3 times measurement was done, because we have already dispatched twice 2 batches of ALPS treated water already, and the third batches of ALPS treated water will be released very soon, November 2nd. So we have done 3 times of measurement of the ALPS treated water before the dilution. And as you know, 3 entities has participating this measurement. Number 1, TEPCO. Number 2, the third-party institution commissioned by TEPCO. And number 3, another third-party institutions based on the basic policy of Japanese government. So 3 entities has participating this measurement. And they have looked at 3 categories of nuclides. Number 1, of course, tritium. And number 2, 29 radionuclides, which is defined by the Nuclear Regulatory Agency of Japanese government based on IAEA review. And number 3 is the 39 more radionuclides, for which Japanese government decided to do the monitoring voluntarily. So altogether, 69 radionuclides were monitored and measured. And as a result, is 68 radionuclides, except tritium, were confirmed to meet the criteria for discharge. And all those, I think, data are already made public. And so how about the IAEA's role? IAEA has also conducted 3 times of measurement for the ALPS treated water in the tank before the dilution. First batches, second batches, and third batches. Although the result of the analysis of the water for the third batches has not yet come out, but the IAEA has already concluded based on the analysis for 2 times, saying that the analysis by TEPCO and analysis by IAEA in terms of tritium concentration agreed with the high level of confidence. And at the same time, IAEA also said IAEA did not detect any other radionuclides in a significant quantities. So there is no surprise at all. So this is the first stage. So next one is the after dilution, but before the discharge. So TEPCO has already measured twice the diluted ALPS treated water in the tank before the discharge. And they confirm that the ALPS treated water is sufficiently diluted. And then IAEA also confirmed that tritium concentration is well below 1,000 at 5 becquerel per liter. And these, I think, data figures are also made public already. And actually for the third batches, I think today TEPCO is now correcting the ALPS treated water, diluted ALPS treated water for the third batches of discharge. And I think they will make public of the result of the analysis as soon as it is finalized. So this is the second stage. And finally, the third stage. For the first stage, Japanese government and Fukushima Prefecture and TEPCO is monitoring the seawater as well as fishery products from Fukushima prefectures. And there has been no surprise at all. It is confirmed that the discharge is being carried out as was planned, and there is no safety issues at all. Then the IAEA. For the IAEA, experts from IAEA and third country analytical institutions visited Japan from 16th October to 23rd October. And they have conducted the seawater sampling and the fishery product sampling as well. And IAEA also sent another delegation, which is an IAEA task force, which is comprised of experts from 11 countries, including China. And this delegation visited Japan and conducted the 6th review of what the Japanese government is doing. And they have confirmed that between Japan, TEPCO, and IAEA, that everything is going very smoothly as planned. And sorry, I need to add one more thing. For the experts who visited Japan from 16th to 23rd, Chinese analytical institution is also included. So for experts, Chinese are included, and for the task force visit, which happened after 24th, is also including the Chinese experts. So there are lots of Chinese involvements already. And as you know, the IAEA has already announced that they will establish a permanent office at the Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Station with their staff permanently stationed there. And IAEA Director General, Mr. Grossi, said the IAEA will remain there until the last drop of ALPS treated water has been released safely. And IAEA will continue to offer the real-time data on monitoring for you. And as you may know, IAEA is really committed to the long-term involvement of this operation during and after the discharge of water. And very recently, on September 18th, Japanese government and IAEA had signed a memorandum of cooperation. So as you can see, we have a multi-layered system where Japanese government takes the lead for the monitoring, and then IAEA confirms the result. And I hope this multi-layered system will make sure the objectivity and transparency of the monitoring for all those ALPS treated water. Dear media friends, now I'd like to request your assistance, because you have a great deal of influence on every sectors of Hong Kong and every corners of Hong Kong. You can eliminate or slash or attenuate the concern or misunderstanding by Hong Kong people about the safety of ALPS treated water. So if you can report what we are going to explain today to Hong Kong people, I hope Hong Kong people can continue to eat Japanese food and they can continue to enjoy Japanese restaurant with the peace of mind. So I really request your kind support on this part. And after the explanation by experts, we will answer your questions. First for prepared question, then for the free question and answer. So please stay with us for the remainder of the briefing. And we will continue to improve our explanation and our materials for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Okada. Next, let's pass the time to our speaker, Mr. Takabatake Masaaki. He is from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI. He will explain the monitoring and the management of the discharge of the ALPS treated water. Mr. Takabatake, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the time to explain about our activity, discharging of ALPS treated waters. And well, I would like to make a presentation in 10 minutes. And after that, my colleague in Tokyo will make a presentation to follow my explanation and give you more detailed matters. So, is it possible to sit down? Yes. Sorry, thank you. And sometimes my explanation is a very basic one, but I try to help your understanding more deeply by my presentation. And I prepare the many papers, but I would like to pick up some of the pages and explain the important point for us. And the first one is the page number 3. Please open the page number 3. Do you have this presentation paper? Yeah. And on page 3, this is the purpose of the discharge of ALPS treated water. Well, right now, well, the commissioning of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is the premise of the construction of Fukushima Prefecture in Japan. And this is a continuous activity to gradually reduce the risk of radioactive materials to the surrounding area. But storage tanks exceeding 1,000, too many. And this becomes to be an obstacle to secure enough site for the planned decommissioning of nuclear power plant. So, well, maintaining tanks could pose another risks. Therefore, it is necessary, we believe that it's necessary to properly discharge ALPS treatment water into the sea. And please see the picture of these pages. In the left side, well, every day the rain comes and the water from the underground comes to the reactor buildings. So every day the contaminated water generated. But if we use the ALPS treatment facilities, we can remove radioactive materials other than tritium to meet the regulatory standards for discharge. And we can make the ALPS treated water through this process, and this water is now stored in the storage tanks. And please see the page number 4. Well, this is the nature of the ALPS treated waters. Well, in the left side, you can see the contaminated waters. And this water will certainly be purified to meet the regulatory standards. But in case of tritium, it's a bit difficult to purify. So other than tritium, we can purify it and to meet the regulatory standard. And after that, we dilute this ALPS treated water more than 100 times by seawater. Then the tritium will be less than 1,500 becquerel per liter, and the nuclide other than tritium will be less than 1% of regulatory standards. And if you see the right side of this paper, well, you can understand the meaning of the 1,500 becquerels. In case of the WHO standards for drinking water, the regulatory standard is 10,000 becquerel per liter. And regulatory standard of tritium, so yes, it is 60,000 becquerel per liter. So you can understand that the 1,500 becquerel liter is not a huge data. It's a very small number. And please see the picture of the number 5. If this is the overall picture of treated water discharged into the sea. Yes. On the left side, well, you can see the water that need to be purified. This is a contaminated water. In this contaminated water, we have 29 nuclides and tritium. And these 29 nuclides other than tritium were selected for radiation exposure evaluations. And after going through the ALPS treatment facilities, well, the treated water is purified until the concentration of nuclides other than tritium fulfill the regulatory standard. And after that, we do source monitoring. And the explanation is written down on the downside of the paper. Well, it will be confirmed that the nuclide other than tritium are below regulatory standards before the discharge. And if we cannot clear this standard, then we de-purified again to make the ALPS treated water completely. So, well, and after that, we dilute this water significantly, and we can discharge to into the water. And after discharging into the sea, well, we also do their monitoring in the sea area, monitoring of seawater, seabed, and marine food, and so on. We will conduct to confirm no significant change before and after the ocean discharge. Well, it's a very important procedure for us. Next page, I would like to explain the page 8. This is the typical type of assessment of radiation impact using international method. Well, it's a bit difficult explanation, but please listen. And please imagine the most affected persons. Well, you can see the picture on the left side of this paper. Well, the most affected cases, we imagine one person. Well, he eats the large amount of seafood or the average of the seafood, plus, in addition to that, he swims 96 hours per year in the sea. And in addition to that, he always walk near the beach and reside by the seashore 500 hours per year. And in addition to that, he always get on the ship and walks near fishnet. Well, spends 2,800 hours on the ship at sea, of which 1,090 hours are spent walking near fishing net. This is a typical type of most affected cases. And we calculate how much radiation impact he received by the discharge of ALPS treated water. The answer is written down on the downside of the paper. Well, 0.000002 to 0.00003 millisievert. Yes, this number is a very small, negligible level. And from the natural environment in Japan, we always get, well, 2.1 millisievert in 1 year. And if we use the CT scan in hospital, we receive more than 2.4 millisievert at one time. And also flying between Tokyo to New York, well, we receive 0.1 to 0.16 millisievert at one time. And dental X-ray, approximately 0.01 millisievert. Well, if we compare with that of the numbers, well, the radiation impact from the discharge ALPS treated water is very, very small, well, negligible. So, well, the IAEA assessed that the discharge of the ALPS treated water will have a negligible radiological impact on people and the environment. And please see the next page, 9. Yeah, this is the character of the tritium. Well, tritium is a very familiar and very weak, has a very weak radionuclide. And, well, it exists, well, in the rain or sea and the water taps and surrounding for us. And as well as inside our body. And it is not accumulated in the human body, and it's excreted together with the water from the body. So, well, it is, well, even if it is very difficult to remove tritium from the water, but tritium is like, the nature of the tritium is like hydrogen. So, well, it's not so, we don't too much afraid of that. Yes. And in page 10, Well, this is the result of dispersion simulation at sea. Well, the TAPCO made the simulation for dispersion simulation at sea. And the area assessed to have higher tritium concentration than current levels in the surrounding sea area will be limited, very limited, to the area of 2 to 3 kilometers from Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. And it is not distinguishable from the background levels at distance of a few kilometers from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plants. So the IAEA assessed that based on the result of the marine dispersion model, activity concentrations in international waters will not be influenced by the discharge of ALPS treated water into the sea. And the transboundary impacts are therefore negligible. And please see the next page, 11. Well, this is the annual amount of tritium discharge, a comparison with other nuclear power plant and other states. Well, our goal for the tritium is 22 trillion becquerel per year from Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plants. But it's not so much amount of the tritium. If we see the a PWR type nuclear power plant, well, they generate 49 trillion becquerel per year. And in case of a reprocessing plant, they generate 10,000 trillion becquerel per year. So the 22 trillion becquerel per year is not so much compared with that of other power plant. And please see the picture 12, page 12. Yeah, in case of East Asia, we have many nuclear power plants, but most of the power plants generate tritium more than 30 becquerels or 40 becquerels, and the maximum is the more than 200 tritium is generated. So, well, if you see these pictures, well, the 22 trillion becquerel is not so much huge numbers. And, well, in addition to that, I would like to explain the page 16. Yes, this is the characteristic of ALPS treated waters. Yes, as mentioned from Ambassador Okada, the contaminated water has 26 nuclei to be removed. But in response to the IAEA suggestion, 29 nuclei other than tritium that could realistically exist in the water before treatment were to be analyzed before the discharge. And only 9 out of 29 nuclei were detected after treatment by ALPS. So please see the picture of these pages, right side graph. Before the ALPS treatment, well, many, you can see the yellow line. This is the amount of the nuclei which is included in the contaminated water. Well, like cesium-134, cesium-137, and strontium-90. These are included in the contaminated water. But if we use the ALPS facilities, well, we can decline this amount into the blue line. So it will become to be a negligible level. So, well, that means that ALPS facility works well. But in case of a tritium, the most right side of this graph, well, it implies that it's very difficult to remove the tritium from the contaminated water. So the IAEA assessed that the concept and result of selecting 29 nuclei are sufficiently conservative and still realistic. Many radionuclides included in the source term will never be detected in ALPS treated waters. Yes. And please see the page 18. Well, before the discharge of ALPS treated water, the IAEA published the comprehensive review report and handed it over to Japanese government. And in this comprehensive report, the IAEA stated the following conclusions. Well, the important conclusion, 2 points. The discharge of ALPS treated water into the sea, number one, are consistent with the relevant international safety standards, and number two, will have a negligible radiological impact to people and the environment. And as Mr. Okada mentioned before, well, the Director General Grossi IAEA comes to Fukushima and declare that the IAEA will stay at Fukushima until the last drop is released and continue to inspect and make sure it is safe. Well, so the last explanation is page 22, recent development. Well, 4 batches will be discharged until the end of the March 2024, and the amount of discharge until the end of March 2024 will be 31.2 thousand cubic meters. And this is the 2.3% of the water in the whole tanks at the site of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. And we finished the second batch on October 23rd. And the result of monitoring, well, TEPCO and Ministry of Environment, well, rapid analysis of seawater showed that the concentration of tritium is far below 700 becquerel per liter. This is the TEPCO self-imposed operation limit. And IAEA also analyzed seawater and confirmed that the tritium level are below operational limit. And fishery agencies, they said that the result of rapid analysis of fish showed that the concentration of tritium is below detection limit, 10 becquerel per liter, as the same as before. So these monitoring results show that the discharge is conducted safely and planned as planned. And this week, the November 2nd, TEPCO will start the discharge of the third batch. Well, and this is the third batch, and the last batch, until the last batch, we will continue, and until the end of the March 2024. And in the last page 23, we write down on the homepage address of METI and IAEA website and TEPCO portal site. And we give this kind of information not only in Japanese but also in English and Chinese language and Korean language. So if you can contact to this home website, you can easily see the conclusion of the monitoring very quickly. Thank you very much for hearing my presentation. And my colleague in Tokyo, again, follow my presentation may be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takabatake. Next, Mr. Sato Gaku from TEPCO Holdings will provide more information on analysis results and data of ALPS treated water. Mr. Sato, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Sato of Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings. I would like to briefly explain the three items, namely the overview of discharge facilities, the analysis results of ALPS treated water to discharge, and lastly, disclosure of data related to discharge. Next slide, please. Maybe some of you are pretty familiar with what these facilities are, but I will once again explain the overview. This is a simplified picture of the discharge facility. In upper left, you see three columns. These columns represent tanks for the storage of water, including ALPS-treated water. The water to be discharged, which is compliant with the standard, is transferred from those storage tanks to another set of columns in orange rectangular individual, which is called measurement and confirmation facility. This facility consists of three tank rooms equipped with agitators and circulation pumps for homogenization of the water stored. 38 equals including 13 are to be measured and assessed whether or not the concentration of 29 variable equals other than 15 are lower than standard. Even after the ALPS treatment, 15 still remains, so this requires very difficult to remove. But still, Japanese standard requires to meet the upper limit of concentration in the water to be discharged. This is why that is necessary. Why that is, reaching the concentration will become less than 1,500 becquerel per liter, about 1/7 of the guidance level of WHO drinking water quality guidelines. Just in case of any malfunction that occurs from appropriate dilution after discharge, a set of emergency isolation valves are automatically and immediately closed to stop the discharge. In the next few slides, I will show you some pictures of these activities. Here you can see the actual tank used as measurement and confirmation facility. One tank has a capacity of about 1,000 cubic meters of water, and 10 of those are interconnected, thus forming one tank. And there are 3 tank groups in the measurement and confirmation facility. Each tank is equipped with an agitator or agitation within the tank. For homogeneity between tanks, 2 circulation pumps are used for circulation between tanks in the same group during interconnecting pipes. After appropriate agitation and circulation, a sample is taken for both monitoring. This is the transfer facility. The facility consists of 2 transfer pumps, 2 sets of emergency isolation valves just for the case of abnormality, radiation monitors that can detect radiation from transferred water, insufficient purification, 4 meters, 400 valves, and piping. This is dilution facility, which consists of 3 seawater transfer pumps, seawater transfer pipes with 4 meters, seawater header pipe, and upstream and upstream storage of discharge vertical tank. This seawater transfer pump sends water through transfer pipe, and all 3 pipes join together in the header pipe. Also, transferred out-treated water joins together in the header pipe and mixed with seawater. The appropriate level of mixing is achieved within the header pipe. The mixed water is discharged in the upstream storage of vertical tank. Next slide, please. Following down that, upstream storage of vertical shaft, the water falls into the downstream storage of vertical shaft, which is shown in the left in the slide. And the entrance of discharge tunnel, which you can see the picture on the right. And eventually this discharge to the sea from another end of the tunnel installed on a seabed 1 kilometer east of the power station. In the following 3 slides, I will show you the result of the analysis of water quality conducted prior to the actual dilution and discharge, which is called post-monitoring. This slide shows the overview of the results of analysis and assessment of the water discharge in the first batch. Please look at the numbers in the red box of the table in the right-hand side. A concentration of limit is discharge water for each nuclei by Japanese regulation. But what if there are multiple number of nuclei supposed to be in the water? The regulation stipulates that the summation of the ratios of the concentration of each nuclei to the regulatory limit must be less than 1. In the calculated ratio of the concentration of each nuclei in the water to be discharged to the limit and sum them all up. That number is in the first column, which is 0.28 in this case, and was less than the Japanese regulatory standard, which is equal to 1. The treating concentration was 140,000 becquerels per liter, and voluntarily checked 39 nuclei were not detected. You may ask, what about items other than dry nuclei? Yes, we have certainly checked 44 items on general water quality, including acidity, suspended substances, polyform count, inorganic chemicals such as boron, ammonia, and nitric compounds, organic chemicals such as benzene, and metals such as cadmium, hexavalent chromium, lead were checked. The results were all satisfactory. I will show you the actual data later. By the way, all the results are posted and disclosed on treated water portal site. Refer to the URL on the slide for details. In this slide, the water quality of the second batch is shown. Likewise, all the items are satisfactory. In this slide, the quality of water to be discharged in the coming third batch, which is now stored in faithful tank group A. Likewise again, all the items are confirmed satisfactory. The following 4 slides from this one show that the actual results of analysis and the assessment of K4A tank group, which will be discharged next. This table shows the result of analysis and assessment of 29 nuclei that will be measured and assessed by TESCO and the commissioned third-party institution, which is CACEN. Those 29 nuclei are considered to exist in water before out-treatment. The column highlighted in green shows the name of nuclei to be measured and assessed, and in blue shows the analytical result of concentration for each nuclei. In red shows the ratio of the concentration of each nuclei to the regulatory standard. If the concentration is below its detection limit, ND, not detectable, is put in the blue box. And the ratio is calculated using the value of the detection limit for conservatism. What you are viewing here can be downloaded from outside. Please use the QR code to access for the PDF file. Next slide. Here is the treatment concentration in water to be discharged, which is confirmed 130,000 becquerels per liter. Next slide. Other than 30 nuclei of the nuclei to be measured and assessed, 39 nuclei are measured and assessed. TESCO considers that those nuclei are less likely to exist even in the water before out-treatment. but voluntarily confirms whether or not those nuclei practically exist in water to be discharged. The results in the column highlighted in red are circled to mean that nuclei does not practically exist in water. As you see here, all the results are such. Other than radionuclides, have also confirmed concentration of chemicals and metals. The results are all met with the standard. Here is the overview of the discharge conducted by now. 2 batches of discharge were conducted, and 1.1 times 10 to the 12 megawatts of treatment in 7,800 cubic meters of altitude water was discharged in 17 days for each batch. The first one is expected to be similar. TEPCO has been enhancing data disclosure, especially regarding altitude water discharge. In the next few slides, I will explain more on the data disclosure. You have probably heard of our previous water photo site. The photo site was opened back in 2018. Since then, information on the photo site has been continuously enhanced. Among those information, TEPCO has started to provide information on the analytical results of water to be discharged, which is number 2 in the right-hand side picture. The status of operational facility used for discharge, which is number 3. In addition to the out-treated water stored on site, is number 1. And the result of seawater monitoring, which is number 4. I will cover more in detail about number 3 in the next few slides. In addition, all the information is translated into not only English, but simplified Chinese, traditional Consul Chinese, traditional Taiwanese Chinese, and Korean, so that the information could reach to more people interested in discharge. Next slide. If you click on the purple box of the lower right in the left-hand side picture, the image of status of dilution discharge facility of the treated water protocol site shows up as it is shown here in the right-hand side of this slide. On this page, you can check the current discharge status, which is on the top of the page. The treatment concentration of output water that is confirmed prior to the commencement of discharge. The flow rate of output water and seawater being transferred for dilution and discharge, and the calculated treatment concentration value in discharge water after dilution using these 3 numbers. And those numbers are updated every hour. If you would like to know more details on this subject, you click on the link beneath the picture saying, click here for detailed data. Another page will show up. I will explain about this in the next slide. On this page, you can see the latest number on and the trend of number 1, intake and the vertical champ radiation monitor. Number 2, radiation monitor on out-treated water transfer pipe. Number 3, the flow rate of out-treated water being transferred. Number 4, the flow rate of seawater being transferred. And number 5, the calculated value of treatment concentration in water after dilution. If you want to know the treatment concentration in water to be being discharged, you click on the link noted number 5, treatment concentration after dilution. Then a chart that shows the trend of the last 7 days, and a table that shows the latest value, along with the cumulative treatment inventory and volume of out-treated water discharged during the batch. Those are updated every 10 minutes for radiation monitor indications and every hour for the rest. And these pages are also provided in English, traditional Cantonese, simplified Chinese, traditional Taiwanese, and Chinese, and Korean. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sado. Next, Ms. Kawamura Hana from the Nuclear Regulation Authority will provide details on the sea area monitoring. Ms. Kawamura, please.
Sea area monitoring. First, I will introduce comprehensive radiation monitoring plan. This plan to conduct off-site environmental radioactivity monitoring after the first Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station accident. The government set up the monitoring commission meeting under the auspices of the Nuclear Emergency Workforce Headquarters and formulated comprehensive radiation monitoring plan. Accordingly, the relevant government ministries, local governments, the operator of nuclear facilities, and other entities independently but automatically have implemented and reported their own radiation monitoring activities. This plan has been regularly revised. Most recently, on March 16, 2023, comprehensive radiation monitoring plan was revised to reflect the enhanced sea area monitoring to reduce global-based adverse impact on radiation by the discharge of our stranded water. Based on this monitoring plan, one can be after the start of the non-stranded water discharge, following points have been focused on. First, increasing the frequency of precise analysis of tritium. Second, rapid analysis for a preliminary report on tritium. Rapid analysis cannot detect raw values, but it provides results in a short period of time, so rapid analysis was newly introduced. And next slide, please. This CEO machine regarding outstream water was conducted by the Ministry of Environment, Nuclear Regulation Authority, the Fishery Agency, Fukushima Prefecture, and TEPCO, and they independently collected seawater or marine biological samples, respectively, and analyzed their samples. Tritium concentration in sea area monitoring has been confirmed to be sufficiently low level, and there is no impact on people and the environment. The latest analytical results as of 23rd October, the last day of the second discharge, are as follows on the next slide. This table shows the record of rapid analysis. The detection rates are 10 becquerel per liter or 10 becquerel per cubic ratio. Where the Ministry of Environment monitors tritium in seawater at 0 points weekly. The fisheries agency has been monitoring tritium in fisheries products daily as to section there with 4 years out of the bird. Seawater at 9 points weekly, and old seawater at 10 points within 3 kilometers of the position estimated at 4 points within 10 kilometers per weekly or monthly. The latest results for each analysis all below the detection limit. For more detailed data, please visit the official website. Next slide, please. This table shows the result of precise analysis. The detection limits are 0.1 becquerel per liter or from 0.3 to 1 becquerel per kilo flesh. Rate of environment in concentration in seawater at 35 points every fresh water. The latest results in the sample of August 25th are 9 points from 0.051 to 5.0 becquerel per liter. Other 3 points will be determined. Our A is monitoring monthly at 4 nearby locations. At 3 points, 0.066 the point bills 9 7 level paragraph. Other points below the picture. Fishery agency is monitoring 200 samples of fishery products in 1 year. The all data below the reduction limit. Sample picture is seawater at 9 point every month from 0.06 people per ton to 0.63 people per ton. The typical is 6 points every month at 8 points. 0.065 to 1.1 people per liter. Other points for the reduction limits. The next slide, please. This is the map of APC monitoring. Stars are points of include environment. The yellow stars are points for fishing in seawater. The red ones are points for other marine fish within the water. The orange stars are points on the beach. The green points are in ALPS. The black triangles are both main suffering points for fishing in seawater. The yellow blue squares are the red squares are fishery agencies points for fishing market analysis in fishery products. Next slide, please. Finally, I would like to talk about competition on the sample selection by IAEA. The IAEA has conducted inter-laboratory comparisons and effort to improve international credibility and transparency of serial emerging data. IAEA and the Government of Japan and United Federation have also collaborated on monitoring of surrounding sea area around the construction line GMPS, focusing on the ILC. In the IAEA level competition review 2022, the IAEA evaluated the functional height, duration, and competence of Japanese analytical laboratories that have been participating in the various functions. The IAEA has also conducted several IOCs since 2022 to corroborate the results of CL monitoring in Japan as part of the IAEA review of safety-related aspects of country atmospheric water at both ALPS. From 7 to 14th November in 2022, in addition to experts from the IAEA, ones from countries collaborated in Finland and corporate consortium with the Consul Algara, the Analytical University for the Measurement of Environment Purposes, IAS network for machines. They also visited Japan to confirm sample question and pre-treatment for the viewpoint of further improving transparency in this project. This year, from 16th to 23rd October, experts from the areas as well as ones from commercial laboratories in Canada, in China, and the Republic of Korea also visited Japan to conduct design superscription and formulation of bridge treatment and surgery. This slide is the reference for analytical methods for treatment in seawater. Thank you, Professor Lee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kawamura. So the next, Mr. Hasegawa Hiroyasu from the Fishery Agency will provide details on fishery product monitoring. Mr. Hasegawa, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Hasegawa and I'm in charge of regulatory substances in food at the fisheries division. I try to introduce the food modeling conducted by us in service. At the time of the nuclear action in 2011, I was involved on vegetation where related work on consumer, even though there were no safety programs. So as not to release things The purpose of this monitoring is to publish scientific data on the safety or safety to enhance the functional competence. To gather series includes fishery and aquaculture skills, also and offshore of the Pacific side of the eastern Japan, touching area on that side. Yes. The fish species mainly recognize Polyplunder is a major fish species in each region. In addition, important fish species such as Russian bow catches in the local area. Total number of samples for each year is 200 increase. We have been monitoring tritium in seafood based on internationally recognized methods from 2022 fiscal year. This method takes about 1 and a half to perform precise analysis with testing limit of 0.4 doses per kilogram. Next please. As of the September this year, the average of 256 samples has been completed, and all results are below the initial limit. So all quantitative example. Next please. In addition, we have newly introduced rapid analysis method can provide results a day or two after sampling has gone this year. We have been analyzing 2 samples each day with 4 times a week, detection limit of 10 vectors per kilo. Total number of samples for each year is 108. The sampling location is about 5 kilometers north and south side from the discharging east. Now, all 96 samples were below detection limit. We will change after discharge. Your update.
Thank you very much. Next, let us invite Professor Gary Thomas, who is an expert on molecular pathology, to share with us her views on the likely health effect from the discharge of the water. Professor Thomas, please.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to give you a very short talk on the likely health effects from the release of Fukushima's water, and I will tell you that there are no health effects that we'd expect to be seen. I think, first of all, we need to understand that this is not something unusual. We have been releasing tritium and other nuclides from our various nuclear plants around the world for some considerable time. So we actually have a lot of data on what this might mean for the environment. And if you have not already read this paper, I would recommend that you read this paper, published very recently in Science by Professor Jim Smith and his colleagues. He is a physical environmentalist, and he understands the way that radionuclides are emitted into the environment and how that environment affects them. And this is just one graph that I have taken to illustrate the points in his paper. So you will see at the top we have the yearly tritium release that we expect from Fukushima Daiichi, and compared with tritium that is released into various bodies of water, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the North Sea, the Irish Sea, and you can see that in terms of volume, the Fukushima Daiichi amount of release of tritium is very much smaller than many other sites around the world, both in South Korea, China, UK, and Europe. And interestingly, he also adds in this graph at the bottom the amount of tritium that is present in the Pacific Ocean due to natural release from the environment, so from the rocks, and also from the tritium that is released as a result of radioactive decay in the atmosphere. So you can see here that the amount of tritium released into the Pacific Ocean from natural processes is much, much higher than through nuclear power plants, including Fukushima. If there was an effect of tritium on aquatic life, for example through bioaccumulation, it would be much more likely to be as a result of exposure from tritium from the natural environment. Now, let's discuss more about tritium and its possible effects on health. So, there is a very simple relationship between effect of radiation and dose. Possible health effects from radiation are related to the dose received by individual tissues in the body. We have a lot of information that knows so that we know this is correct. So dose received depends on the isotope's physical properties. So that's the type of energy of radiation release, whether it's alpha, beta, gamma, the degree of energy in that radiation, and its physical half-life, the time that it takes the radioisotope to release half of its amount of radiation. Most importantly, in terms of health effects, there is another factor that is extremely important, and that is the time it takes for the isotope to transit the body, which is what we call the biological half-life. And I think the simple way of illustrating this is if you take a litre of water, it isn't long before you need to visit the bathroom. So you can see how quickly that water transits through your body. And remember, the tritium is part of the water that will transit your body. So where the physical half-life is much greater than the biological half-life, the dose is minimal. So if you have a compound that transits the body very quickly and it has a long physical half-life, the amount of dose will be extremely low. Now, tritium emits a very low energy beta radiation, so it's a very weak radiation. And its physical half-life is about 12.33 years. But its biological half-life, we measure in days, in 10 to 40 days. So there you can see that we have a compound that has a long physical half-life and a very much shorter biological half-life, and it is also a weak emitter of radiation. Therefore, the dosage to the tissue is very low. As we know that the effect is related to the dose, if the dose is very low, then the effects will be very, very low. Bioaccumulation will not occur. I know this is something that people worry about, but it does not occur as the biology of the aquatic creatures is basically similar to human. Tritium will be excreted very quickly by them, as it is by us. So, what do we know about the potential doses that would occur from exposure to water released from the Fukushima nuclear plants? Well, as my colleagues have already explained, they have used a number of different models to calculate the potential radiation doses, and these also take into account the minuscule amounts of cesium and strontium and other elements that might also be present in the water. So in the aquatic ecosystem, we're looking at 0.0001 to 0.0005 grays per hour, and 40 grays per hour is the level at which we would consider that we might see effects on the aquatic system. So you can see that the radiation dose to the aquatic ecosystem is minuscule, and therefore we're not likely to see any effect at all. And in humans, and my colleague has also explained how they have used a man who goes to sea, who lives by the sea, who eats seafood. They have calculated that their models would give about a dose of 1 microsievert, that's 10 to the minus 6 per year. And the global average dose for humans is about 2,400 microsieverts per year. In Japan, it's slightly less, it's 2,100 microsieverts per year. So here you can see again that the potential doses from anybody involved in fishing or anything like that would be minuscule compared to those that we would receive normally. So we conclude from this that no human health effects, nor effects on the aquatic environment from radiation exposure, will be seen from release of Fukushima water. And here I want to make a really important point, especially to those of you who work in the media. The effects on well-being to be expected from fear of radiation exposure, resulting in effects on people's livelihoods, for example, is considerably larger. And this is all the research that we have done post-Chernobyl and post-Fukushima shows the same thing. The radiation itself has very little biological effect because the doses have been very low. However, the fear of being exposed to radiation has considerable effects on people's psychology and therefore whether they will eat fish, whether they will buy fish from the local area, and also that has impacts on people's lives. Now, I think all of us around this table today have a role to play in mitigating this unfounded fear, and I hope that we will have the support of the media. We can really help improve people's understanding if we understand this better ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Thomas. Let me re-invite Mr. Hasegawa from Fishery Agency to give us additional information about fishery products monitoring.
Thank you. Fishery Agency would like to tell you one more. We will update the results of both methods quickly on our website in simplified and traditional Chinese, English, and Korean in addition to Japanese. This time is over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next speaker is actually me. Okay. So today's my presentation is basically based on this one, most of. Okay. Then I'm going to give you the 5 tips to understand diluted ALPS treated water discharge into the sea better. Okay. So please go to the next slide. First, I'm going to explain the IAEA's commitment. Okay, 4 important, commitment. First of all, IAEA clearly stated that IAEA doesn't provide authorization for Japan to release the water into the ocean. IAEA clearly stated, because this is the role of Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority. So the NRA is responsible to say go or no go. Okay? So IAEA's role is to monitor whether the Japan government or Japan TEPCO is doing well or not. So this is a role of the IAEA. Then IAEA made an independent and a comprehensive assessment. Then they confirmed that plan to be in line with IAEA safety standards. Okay? And 4 days ago, according to the press release from the IAEA, IAEA said that discharge of treated water from Japan's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station is progressing as planned and without any technical concerns. This is a press release from the IAEA 4 days ago. Okay? Then, actually, this slide shows that IAEA staff actually went to the sea and a fishery market and also like a beach to collect the sample. So they already done this sampling about 10 days ago. Okay? Please go to the next slide. So Mr. Takabatake mentioned that transboundary impacts are therefore negligible. Okay? So this means that Fukushima Daiichi released radioactive material into the ocean, right? So our concern is, does this radioactive material reach Hong Kong or not? Okay? When I talked to my friend who is currently the president of Korean Nuclear Society, then he sent me an email like this. And also, he provided me this like figures. Then horizontal axis is the year, and the vertical axis is basically concentrations of radioactive nuclide. Then red one is cesium, blue one is tritium, dark green is a plutonium, and light green is a strontium. So actually, he said, Korean regulatory body has been sampling seawater at 40 different locations around Korea and measuring the radioactive concentration. Even though large contaminated water had been released during the Fukushima accident in 2011, nothing was measured. This is a strong evidence for the negligible impact. So this means that actually the 2011, due to the Fukushima accident, some amount of the radioactive materials is already released. This amount is much, much larger than the current ALPS treatment water discharge. But still, this radioactive material never reached the Korea. Same thing to the Hong Kong. Then Hong Kong people do not need to worry about transboundary impact from this ALPS treated water release. Then third one, please go to the next slide. So this slide explains the method and amount, okay? So some people argue that why, ALPS treated water release into the ocean? What about release into the sky? Or why don't we keep tritium in underground, okay? So one important thing is, actually the nuclear industry doesn't like new technology. Also, nuclear industry rarely care about track record. So for example here, I listed up 5 methodology, okay? Discharge into the sea has a long track record because Fukushima Daiichi Power Station started operation 50 years ago. Since then, they continuously release the tritium water into the ocean, more than 40 years. Then long track record, okay? So that TEPCO knows how to release the tritium into the ocean. So this means that this is not like a new technology, already proven technology. That is a strong reason why we rely on, ALPS treated water release into the ocean. Second thing is why 22 terabecquerel per year, okay? So the TEPCO is going to release that annual tritium discharge limit is 22 terabecquerel per year. Is this a big or small? Actually, this 22 terabecquerel per year is equivalent to the pre-accident discharge limit at the Fukushima Daiichi. So before Fukushima Daiichi accident, TEPCO already have experience to release the tritium with 22 terabecquerel per year. So this is nothing new. In addition to this, 22 terabecquerel correspond to the 1 over 90,000 of the global inventory of tritium. So this means that in our, Earth already has more than 90,000 times larger than 22 terabecquerel. So this means that 22 becquerel released to the ocean, but this is a negligible amount. Then also 22 terabecquerel correspond to the 5,000 times lower than the annual production on the planet due to the natural process. And as you know, the half-life. Then tritium half-life is 12 years. So after 12 years, this tritium amount become half, okay? Please go to the next slide. Reliability of engineering systems. Success of the ALPS treated water into the ocean depend on the integrity, reliability of the engineering systems, right? So there are basically 2 major engineering facility exist. First one is the ALPS system, right? ALPS system is very important because we need to purify the, contaminated water, right? Second one is discharging system. So let's talk about, ALPS system, okay? So IAEA report actually doesn't care about efficiency because this IAEA report doesn't care about efficiency of the ALPS system because the control for the system is not on the performance of the ALPS process, but rather a 100% verification of all batches prior to their discharge. So this means, just in case, even if ALPS system didn't work, but before discharging, TEPCO or IAEA measure the actual radioactive concentration. That's the reason control for the system is not on the performance of the ALPS system, because they measure, they perform the actual measurement, 100% verification. Second thing is, this discharging system, okay? So that this IAEA report already discussed about the accident. If accident happen in this discharging system, what will happen? For example, Tokyo Electric Power Company assumed worst case accident. So this means that there was a catastrophic and immediate rupture of all tanks in the measurement and the confirmation facility, which resulted in all of the treated water being discharged directly into the sea without any further dilution. This means that those tanks suddenly ruptured, okay, broken. Then ALPS water is going to dump into the ocean. Then what will happen? Still resulting potential dose are more than a factor of 100 lower than the recommended criterion set by NRA. So even if some accident, tedious accident happen, all tanks broken completely, still impact to the environment is very, very less than 100 factor. The last one, last slide. Okay, then some people were confused. What's the difference between wastewater release from normal reactor or, from the damaged, like a reactor, like a Fukushima case? According to the international safety standards, the margin of safety is evaluated based on the sum of the effects of all radioactive materials in the water, regardless of the type of radioactive material. This concept applies equally to both accidental and the conventional reactors. This means that normal reactor, accident reactor, it doesn't matter. Matter is how much, radioactive material exists in wastewater. This is a safety standard. And also, this side, you can see this. I took this sentence from this journal article presented in Science. Professor Thomas also referred this journal. Let me read it. In this regard, the Fukushima release is no different from routine release from other nuclear sites around the world. For example, in 2019, the Sellafield nuclear site in the UK discharged 19 times more tritium water, 1,600 times more carbon-14, 320 times more cobalt-60, 180 times more iodine-129, and over 1,000 times more strontium, cesium, and plutonium isotopes than is planned annually for the Fukushima release. So some people worry about what about we understand the tritium. What about the cesium? What about the plutonium? Actually, Sellafield nuclear site in the UK already released much more than that, but there's still no health, hazard is reported. Thank you very much. So let's go to the Q&A session. Okay. Next, let's move on to the Q&A session. Besides the speakers from the previous sections, the following government officials will also join us, including Mr. Hideta Tsuyoshi, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Michino Hideshi, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Ms. Tanabe Yuki, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, Mr. Maeda Naohiro, Ministry of the Environment, Mr. Hosogai Takuya, Radiation Protection